Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent power that moves through the lives of those who speak little, not because they are afraid, but because they understand. Words invite attention, and attention invites intrusion. If you speak too much, you scatter your energy, you feed every curious eye and listening ear, but what they consume is your strength. And slowly, without even noticing, you are emptied. So let me ask you, when was the last time your silence made people wonder? When was the last time you let your actions be your only announcement? Stay with me. Because what I share today isn't just advice, it is protection. It is the shield for your mind, your journey, your spirit. Silence is protection, not weakness. In a world where people rush to be heard, to be seen, to be noticed, choosing silence becomes a form of inner strength. It's not about retreating in fear or hiding your truth. It's about understanding the value of your presence and preserving your energy for the things that matter most. When you speak less, you start to observe more. You become aware of intentions, of patterns, of the hidden language behind words, and in that stillness you begin to master yourself. Many believe that if you're not loud, you're irrelevant. If you're not constantly sharing, you're missing out. But this belief is built on insecurity, not awareness. True strength does not need validation. It does not beg for attention, it simply exists. Firm, steady, grounded. When you don't reveal your next move, you become unreadable. And when you're unreadable, you are uncontrollable. That's where your protection lies. When you speak too much, when you share every plan, every emotion, every fear, you give others the power to enter your mind. You open doors they were never meant to walk through, and often it's not with malicious intent. Sometimes it's just curiosity. But curiosity from others can lead to distraction for you. Their opinions begin to echo in your head. Their doubts mix with your goals. Their projections cloud your clarity. Silence protects you from this. Gives you the space to hear your own voice before the world floods you with noise. In silence you can process without judgment. You can grieve, grow, heal, reflect and recalibrate. This kind of solitude is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. People often underestimate what they don't understand, and that's to your advantage. When you remain quiet, people will create their own stories about you. Some will assume you're weak. Others will think you're arrogant. Let them. Their stories are not your responsibility. Your only duty is to protect your focus, your peace, and your energy. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your silence. You are not cold, you are centered. You are not distant, you are discerning. You don't need to broadcast your growth. You don't need to announce your transformation. The loudest shifts in life often happen in complete stillness. Trees grow silently. Mountains form without a sound. So does the soul. What the world sees is just the result, the bloom, the summit. But the real work happens quietly, in the dark, behind the curtain. There is also power in making people uncertain, when they don't know what motivates you, when they don't know what hurts you, when they don't know what you're planning. They cannot manipulate it. Your silence becomes a shield. It becomes a way to protect what is still forming, what is still tender, what is still becoming. Don't confuse this with isolation or coldness. You can be deeply connected to others and still choose to be private. You can care, love, help and give without exposing your entire soul. The idea is not to detach, but to be selective. Speak to those who listen with intention. Share with those who protect what you give them. But to the world remain a mystery. Because the less people know about you, the more they must respect the space between what they see and what they don't. And in that space your power is born. Mystery commands respect. In a world obsessed with exposure, transparency and oversharing, the individual who chooses to remain a mystery instantly stands apart. There is something deeply powerful about not revealing too much. When people don't know your next move, they hesitate. They pause, they speculate, and in that space of uncertainty, You gain an advantage that loudness can never offer. It's not about manipulation, it's about mastery. Mastery over your energy, your image, and your direction. When people can't read you, they can't predict you. And when they can't predict you, they can't control you. Control doesn't always come in aggressive forms. It comes in expectations, in subtle pressure, in casual questions disguised as concern. What are you planning next? Why did you change? Are you sure that's the right path? When you reveal too much, you invite their influence into your journey. Even the most well-meaning people can plant seeds of doubt when they know too much about your inner world. Mystery removes that opportunity. It creates a protective layer around your decisions. People begin to observe you differently. They know something is happening, but they can't quite put their finger on it. They respect you more, not because you've demanded it, but because your silence has created an invisible distance. That distance makes people think twice before they speak casually about your life. That distance makes them consider your presence with a little more seriousness. We often mistake respect for charisma or authority, but in truth, respect often begins with mystery. It's human nature to be intrigued by what is not easily understood. The person who doesn't constantly share their struggles, dreams, or strategies becomes a figure of quiet strength, not because they are trying to impress, but because they are focused. That focus is magnetic. That silence becomes an aura, and that aura builds reverence without effort. The moment you tell the world everything you plan to do, you surrender some of your power. You allow external thoughts, judgments, and distractions to enter the equation. But when you remain silent, your intentions stay clean, your goals stay protected, and your movements happen in peace. You begin to move like water, quietly, steadily, with unstoppable force beneath the surface. Mystery also builds anticipation. When people don't know what's next, they watch, they wait, they begin to pay attention not to what you say, but to what you do. This is how actions begin to speak louder than words. This is how your silence earns you more presence than noise ever could. You don't need to explain your every thought or justify every decision. You don't need to narrate your transformation while it's happening. You don't need to update the world on your growth in real time. Growth by its very nature is personal, sacred, often too fragile to survive the weight of too many opinions. When you keep it within, it strengthens. When you share it too soon, it can be weakened by misunderstanding or interference. There is wisdom in quiet elevation. The ones who truly evolve are often the ones you least expect, because they don't advertise it, they don't perform it, they embody it. Let that be you. Walk quietly, build silently, speak only when it adds value, not just noise. Let your absence speak of your discipline, let your results speak of your intention, and let your mystery remind others that not everything needs to be revealed to be real. Because in a time when everyone is trying to be known, those who master the art of being unknown are the ones who are truly respected. Privacy is a form of power. In a world that constantly pushes for openness, for broadcasting every move, thought, and feeling, choosing to keep certain parts of your life private is no less than a declaration of control. It is the conscious decision to guard your energy, your thoughts, and your journey. When you hold something back from the eyes of the world, it doesn't become less. It becomes more sacred, more protected, more yours. Every time you speak about your dreams, your struggles, your next steps, you give away a little bit of your momentum. You invite opinions, criticism, jealousy, and sometimes even sabotage. But when you preserve your thoughts and keep your path guarded, you walk more freely. You move with clarity, because you are not adjusting your pace for anyone else's eyes. There is something deeply powerful about being the only one who knows what you're working on. It means your progress belongs to you, not to an audience. You are not performing success, you are building it. And in that silence, your growth becomes real, grounded, and unshakable. Privacy is not secrecy. Secrecy comes from fear. Privacy comes from intention. It's the difference between hiding something and protecting something. Your mind, your goals, your healing, your relationships, they deserve protection. Not everything sacred needs to be shared to be validated. Not everything in progress needs an announcement. When you live privately, you begin to notice the weight that leaves your shoulders. You no longer have to meet expectations. You are no longer living for updates or applause. You are simply being, simply becoming, and that space gives birth to authenticity. Power lies in being able to walk into a room and no one knowing your story, not knowing your pain, your battles, your victories. All they see is your presence, calm, rooted, unbothered. Because while they are guessing who you are, you already know. Privacy also teaches you emotional discipline. It reminds you that not every feeling demands expression, that not every storm needs to be broadcast. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is sit with your emotion, process it, and allow it to pass. Without posting about it, without explaining it, without seeking validation for it. When you keep your personal life private, you control the narrative. You protect your relationships from outside opinions, your goals from early criticism, your peace from unnecessary drama. You become your own sanctuary, and in doing so, your life gains more harmony and balance. The fewer people who know your struggles, the fewer who can use them against you. The fewer who know your plans, the fewer who can hinder them. And the fewer who know your inner world, the more you protect your freedom to evolve without judgment. Some may call it being distant. Others may think it's cold, but in reality, it is wisdom. It is knowing that the most meaningful parts of life don't require an audience. That growth, healing, love, and success are all more beautiful when nurtured in quiet, away from the noise. In your privacy, you become more focused. You stop looking outward for direction. You start listening inward. You begin to move with purpose. And the more you protect your space, the more you feel aligned with yourself. If you ever feel the pressure to share everything, remember this: what is kept private is protected. What is protected grows with strength. And what grows with strength moves with power. In the silence of privacy, you will find your real voice. In the space you keep for yourself, you will meet your true self. And when you live like that, there is nothing louder, nothing stronger, and nothing more powerful. Not everyone deserves access. This is a truth that many realize only after being hurt, misunderstood, or betrayed. In a world where connection is instant and boundaries are often blurred, it becomes easy to forget that your thoughts, your emotions, your plans, and your personal experiences are not for public consumption. Just because someone asks doesn't mean you owe them an answer. Just because someone listens doesn't mean they care. Just because someone is around doesn't mean they are meant to stay. Your inner world is sacred. It's where your dreams are born, where your fears are faced, where your healing unfolds, and where your strength is rebuilt. But the more people you let in, the more noise you invite. And not all noise is supportive. Some of it distracts, some of it judges, and some of it subtly tries to control you. You cannot expect clarity if you are constantly surrounded by confusion. There are people who only want to know your story to compare it to their own. Others want to hear about your progress just to track it, to compete, or even to hope that you stumble. Some ask you questions out of curiosity, not love. They want access, not understanding. And this is where you must learn to draw the line. It's not cruelty, it's wisdom. You're not pushing people away, you're pulling yourself inward. You're learning the value of selective energy. You're realizing that giving too much of yourself to the wrong people leaves you with too little for your own growth. It is not selfish to protect your peace. It is necessary. The greatest kindness you can show yourself is withholding your truth from those who haven't earned the right to hear it. Your healing is not for entertainment. Your pain is not a topic for casual conversation. Your vision for the future isn't something that should be filtered through the lens of someone else's doubt. Be slow to speak and quick to observe. Notice who truly listens when you talk, who holds space without judgment, who asks how you are, not just out of habit, but out of genuine care. Those are the people who deserve pieces of you, never the whole, because even those with good intentions can harm you if they're not careful with what you give them. You must understand that your time, your energy, your attention, and your story are currencies. If you keep spending them on everyone, you'll be emotionally bankrupt when it's time to invest in yourself. Boundaries aren't just walls to keep people out. They're gates that you choose to open only when someone proves they can enter without causing harm. Many of your setbacks likely came from giving the wrong people too much information. They didn't need to know your dreams. They didn't deserve to hear your fears. But you shared anyway because it felt right at the time, and in doing so you handed over power that should have stayed with you. Let this be your reminder: not everyone has the capacity to hold the weight of your truth, and not everyone who wants access has the intention to honor it. So, be silent when you need to protect. Be private when you feel uncertain. Be selective, not out of arrogance but out of self-respect. Some things are meant to be kept between you and your path. Your growth, your decisions, your healing, they are yours. The less you share with unqualified ears, the more peace you'll have. And the more peace you have, the clearer your direction becomes. Choose to be unseen when necessary. Choose to be unheard when it's wiser. And always remember, you owe access to no one. You owe your protection to yourself. Stillness prevents sabotage. In a world that moves quickly, speaks loudly, and rewards constant updates, the ability to move quietly is becoming a forgotten strength. Yet it is in this stillness, this intentional silence, that protection is found. When you are still, not just physically but emotionally and mentally, you give nothing away. And when nothing is given away, nothing can be used against you. The truth is, not everyone around you wants you to rise. Some smile at your progress but silently compete. Others listen to your ideas only to dismiss them, or worse, to replicate them. Even those who appear close can carry envy in their hearts, hiding it beneath polite support or shallow encouragement. It's not paranoia, it's reality. And it's why stillness is your safeguard. When you talk too much about your dreams, your strategy, your intentions, you expose them to people who may not have the capacity or the desire to see them through. Words travel faster than you do. Once spoken, you can't retreat them. They begin to circle, becoming whispers in rooms you've never entered, and those whispers can turn into resistance, manipulation, or subtle sabotage, all before you've even taken your first step. But when you remain still, you move without noise, you prepare without announcement, you build without validation, and that quiet discipline allows your work to grow roots deep, unshaken by outside opinions or premature exposure. No one can interfere with what they cannot see. No one can sabotage what they don't know is being built. Stillness is also a form of focus. When you're not busy explaining yourself, you have more energy to execute. When you're not defending your choices, you can commit to them fully. You stop waiting for permission, applause, or reassurance. You become your own source of direction and strength. People underestimate the power of unseen effort. They think movement must be loud to be real. But the most profound changes in nature happen quietly. The earth turns in silence. The seed breaks beneath soil without sound. The tide shifts without warning. Your evolution can follow the same rhythm. Subtle, powerful, and unstoppable. Sabotage doesn't always come in dramatic forms. Sometimes it's as simple as someone planting doubt in your mind, questioning your decisions, or shifting your timeline with their fear. You say you're going to start something and suddenly a friend reminds you of every time you failed. You speak of a dream and someone casually mocks the difficulty of achieving it. These aren't attacks. They're delays. And delays, when they become habits, become surrender. Stillness removes the target from your back. When people don't know your goals, they can't speak against them. When they don't know your steps, they can't block them. You don't need to disappear completely, just move with intentional silence. Let people see the result, not the process. Let them witness the change, not the preparation. And the beauty of it is, when you finally arrive, when your efforts bear fruit, no one can deny what you've done, because you didn't talk about it, you became it. You didn't announce it, you lived it. So learn to hold your energy. Let your silence carry your momentum. Speak only when the work is done, and let your success echo louder than any plan ever could. In this stillness you will find peace. In this quiet you will find clarity. And in this discipline you will find power that no one can sabotage, because no one saw it coming. Your peace grows in shadows. It does not thrive in noise, nor does it expand under the spotlight of constant attention. The deepest kind of peace, the peace that keeps you grounded in chaos and steady through storms, is cultivated in places where few are allowed to enter, in solitude, in silence, in the shadows. There is something sacred about keeping parts of your life away from the public eye. It allows you to breathe without judgment, to fail without commentary, to grow without interruption. When every move is visible, peace becomes fragile. It becomes something you must defend, protect, or explain. But when you choose to step back, to move away from constant exposure, that peace becomes firm. It becomes your anchor. In the shadows, no one rushes you. No one compares your progress to theirs. You're not performing. You're not adjusting your path to fit anyone's expectation. You're simply being, learning, healing, rebuilding. And in that hidden space, you begin to feel the weight lift. There are no timelines, no distractions, no voices telling you who you should be. Only stillness, only clarity. This is not isolation, it is intention. It is choosing to retreat not because the world has rejected you, but because you have chosen to prioritize your inner state over external approval. When you learn to enjoy your own company, to build in silence, to dream without explaining, you unlock a power that few understand. The shadows teach you to listen, to your thoughts, to your intuition, to your body. Things that were once clouded by the noise of others become crystal clear. You begin to recognize which relationships are draining you, which habits are harming you, and which thoughts are no longer serving your growth. This awareness cannot be reached when you're always surrounded, always broadcasting, always explaining. Not everyone needs to witness your transformation. Not every chapter must be shared. Some of your greatest breakthroughs will happen when no one is watching, when there is no audience to clap or critique. And that is when it's most real. Because it's not being shaped by perception, it's being shaped by truth. The world today glorifies visibility. It teaches that if you're not seen, you're not valuable. But this is a dangerous belief. Some of the most powerful forces in nature remain hidden. The roots beneath the earth, the current beneath the ocean, the fire waiting in silence before it spreads. They don't ask to be seen. They simply exist, waiting for the right moment to rise. Let your life follow that rhythm. Step into the shadows when needed. Protect your spirit there. You are not losing momentum by retreating. You are gathering strength. You are preparing in quiet, building something that will speak louder than any announcement ever could. And when it's time, when your peace has become unshakable, when your vision is clear, when your purpose is no longer influenced by the opinions of others, you will emerge. But not for validation. You will emerge because the work is complete. The foundation is strong. The shadow has done its work. Never be ashamed of disappearing for a while. Never feel guilt for choosing silence, for setting boundaries, for closing the door. In doing so, you are claiming ownership of your energy. You are saying, this life is mine to shape. My peace is not for performance. Your peace is sacred. Let it grow in silence. Let it mature in shadows. Let it protect you from the noise of a world that never stops talking. Because in that unseen space you will find a stillness that no chaos can touch. And in that stillness you will become everything you were meant to be. In the end, the message is simple but powerful. You don't owe the world access to your soul. Your silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Your privacy is not distance, it is discernment. In every quiet decision you make to hold something back, to keep something sacred, you are reclaiming power over your own life. Let them wonder, let them guess, let them speak in circles around what they cannot see. That is no concern of yours. You were not made to be understood by everyone. You were made to walk your own path with clarity, purpose, and peace. Not everyone needs to know your dreams. Not everyone deserves to hear your pain. And not everyone is meant to understand your journey. The less they know, the freer you become. So choose silence over noise. Choose privacy over performance. Choose mystery over exposure. Because the most powerful lives are not the loudest. They are the most grounded. And in your stillness, in your quiet strength, in your protected spirit, you become untouchable.